All right, guys, welcome back to Sermon Workshop. I think this is going to be the last sermon workshop, not of the series, but the last sermon workshop that I am by myself. I'm going to have guests for the next 3 sermon workshops. You're going to love them. It's going to be fantastic. What I want to do today as a follow-up to the application sermon is I want to equip you to have a devotional life that is consistent, that is frequent, that is scalable, meaning regardless of where you are and how much time you have, that you can every single day be reading your Bible, hearing from God, and applying it into your life. The tool that I want to use to get that across to you is an acronym called 2PRO-APT. That's 2 P's, R-O-A-P-T, 2PRO-APT. So the 2 is the first 2 P's. It's a stupid acronym, but I learned it from Chip Ingram, and I have used it for new Christians and new believers and immature believers for years and years and years, and it has been so helpful that at the very beginning, you can be a Christian for 10 minutes or 10 decades, and you can do 2PRO-APT. If my memory serves me well, in my very first meeting at 6 a.m. with Paul Bockel, Pastor Paul Bockel, is not reading his Bible. Let's get you reading the Bible. What are you doing? What are your questions? What are the barriers? Working through. And we did 2PRO-APT, and we did that for months. I don't know if he still does that. He probably doesn't. But here's what it is. 2PRO-APT is 2 P's: pray, preview, read, observe, apply, pray, tell. Say that again. Pray, preview, read, observe, apply, pray, tell. That's the acronym 2PRO-APT. So the first thing you do, you get your Bible open. You've got a reading plan. You can get one of those online or the back of your ESV study Bible. Read the Bible in a year. There's Read the Bible in 5 years, however slow or long you want to go. You've got a reading plan. You get out your passage of the day and you pray. God, this isn't a prayer for people with cancer or your grandmother or whatever else are good prayers. But this is a prayer for you to meet with God. God, speak to me. Open up my eyes that I would see wonderful things from your book. So speak to me right now. It's a very short prayer. Just help me to see things off the page, that they just jump. It's obvious. And then give me thoughts and ideas for specific applications into my life, which is coming in a minute. So you pray. Then you preview. So what is the context? Who, what, where, when, why? That kind of stuff surrounding whatever you're reading is. If you're reading in linear order, then whatever your passage was the day is sort of the context. And so you're previewing that. Shouldn't take you long. And then you're reading. You're not observing yet. You're just reading. Read it all in one chunk. That's reading. Then you go back and observe. And that's where you put into play all of those skills that we've been learning in Bible study methods, where you're marking up your text. Again, you can take this as long as you want. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour, days on the same passage, whatever, but you're observing. And then you do not leave your time with God with observation. You make sure that you find specific, time-measurable applications in regards to that text. God, how can I, through those questions we talked in the application sermon, apply this? This isn't, God, make me more humble, help me to be nicer in my speech. No. Be specific. God, I want to cultivate humility by finding today an act of service in the life of my spouse or a coworker or some other area of life that perhaps I'm not going to want to do, but it's going to be a great service to another person, and I'm going to humble myself by entering into the grind of action, and through that, with the mind and the hope that I would cultivate a servant-hearted spirit. Okay, so it's something like that. So that's application. Then I'm going to pray again. God, make that happen. Bring that about in me. Give me a great attitude. Help this action to bear fruit. And then I'm going to tell someone. That's the T in the PRO-APT. So I'm going to tell a spouse. I'm going to tell a person in my gospel community. I'm going to tell a roommate. You've gotten permission. Hey, every day I'm working through this plan. I want to share what God is showing me from the Scriptures, how I'm trying to change, what my action step is. Will you pray for me? Will you help me? Will you speak into that as appropriate? Telling another person really emphasizes that obedience is a community project, that I need other people in my life. Not only to give me deeper insight, but to help me to see things about my life that I'm not seeing. C.J. Mahaney tells a great story about how he was in a coffee shop and he saw a very well-dressed, well-groomed, important man going important places, doing important things, sitting across the room, eating a cream cheese bagel one morning. And in the eating of it, he got a big chunk of cream cheese in his mustache. Guy didn't know it was there. Mahaney saw it, wanted to tell him, but how do you have that conversation? How do you start it? It's awkward, it's weird. At the end of the day, he didn't tell him. So the guy cleans his space up, leaves, and goes out into his world with cream cheese in his mustache, has no idea. He makes the analogy that that's the way we are in our spiritual life. That there are areas in our life that are hurting us that we don't see, that other people see. So there's two assumptions. First, assume people in your life see sin in your life that you don't see. Second assumption, assume that it is difficult and hard to tell you. And they don't want to tell you, or they don't know how to tell you. But they want to. So in the ProApt, having a person that you're developing sanctification conversation with, that they love you, you love them, you trust them, they trust you, and every day you're entering into a conversation of what is God showing me, how am I needing to become more and more like Jesus. There's an open avenue for regular feedback from people who see into your life. Okay, so that's 2 ProApt. Anybody can do that. Okay, hopefully that'll serve you in getting to apply the Bible every single day. All right, to give you 2 resources as an ender, and we'll be done. First, Valley of Vision. This is a great tool to learn how to pray or just to be able to pray when you don't have words. This is a collection of Puritan prayers and devotions in which they're weaving great theology and Bible together with personal application and a devotional life. And by praying their words and then adapting and customizing this prayer so that it is relevant and fits your situation and your need, you begin to have a conversation with God and learn how to pray or even get articulation to prayer. It sort of primes the pump for your prayer life in application. So, Valley of Vision. We use these a lot in our liturgy as our call to worship prayer. There's red prayers that we have. A lot of those are coming out of the Valley of Vision. Second thing I want to encourage you to do is start journaling. That's what it sounds like. You're going to get a journal, a notebook, or a specific journal, and you are going to write out what you are learning from the Scriptures, what God is showing you, what God is teaching you, and how you are changing and how God is at work in your life. This isn't a diary of the events of the day. This is your emotional venting. These are your prayer requests. These are your prayers. These are verses that you're memorizing. These are questions that you're asking. These are reflections of what you're learning. These are poems that you're writing or creative outlets of your expression of love and devotion for God, and you're putting that on paper. Don't do a word processing document where you can edit, it's cold, it's just on, that's no good. You want to feel your feeling in your heart come out of your fingers onto the page, and there's something about the print that's uneditable. Don't edit it. Don't worry about punctuation. Don't worry about word choice. Don't worry about how it's perceived. This is just you and God, and you're getting it out there for you and Him to learn, or for Him to teach you and for you to learn. And that it becomes a testimony of your journey with God. And you're going to have several of these journeys or journals. I would even encourage you to have some journals that nobody's going to read. You're going to burn those things before you die, but they're helpful in doing them. Journaling is really more about the process than the result, and so that can be helpful. Another type of journal would be one that is a legacy. You are aware that this is going to be passed on to a person of significance in your life, and they can learn from your journey with God. And so I really encourage you to do that. That's not only going to make the application process of writing it down more enjoyable, but it's going to be more enduring. I'll read the first journal entry of this journal. It was February 16th, 2004, first week as a church planter planting Redemption Church. I'll be vulnerable and read my first entry. I'm uneasy right now. I don't know if it is the move, the ministry, etc. that is overwhelmingly. I just know I feel insecure at times. I even feel like crying at certain periods. The result is prayer and dependency for me right now, so that's good, I guess. God is providing. He's showing some fruit in our ministry, but the uneasiness is still there. It's only my first week as a church planter, so this is probably par for the course. I'm deciding to throw myself into spiritual development, knowing that God is going to have His way and in His timing. And so I periodically journal in this journal. I don't journal every day. I wish I did. Probably should, but I don't. The most recent journal entry is this past spring. I've got songs that I wrote on my 42nd birthday. I don't know why I did that. And I've just got all kinds of readings and testimonies of what I'm learning from God. And I've got Bob Dylan ticket stubs in there for some reason. And you can go back and see what God has shaped you. So, 2 Pro app, a journal to help you get applying. Hopefully that was helpful. All right, guys, have a great week. Next week, special guest. You're going to love him.